pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 4, public comment. Do we have any public comment? Okay, we don't have any public comment. Okay, we'll go on to item 5, student staff recognition. We'll start with letter A, star students from Carrizo Springs Elementary.
Good evening, members of the school board, district leaders, and guests. My name is Felica Garcia, and I'm the proud principal of Carrizo Springs Elementary. Tonight, I'm thrilled to share with you an innovative project that we started this year at Carrizo Springs Elementary, and that is the Wildcat Rural Report Project. So the Rural Report Project is a student-led video news program designed to inform, inspire, and build communities across the campus. And it's more than just a news broadcast for us. It's a project-based learning PBL project that the students are also doing when they're in their GT module classes. And it aligns with our mission to develop critical thinkers, effective communicators, and future-ready leaders. Our Wildcat War students have come together this year. It's a group of third-grade students, and they lead our morning announcements. They also have created videos for us back in October when we had our school bus awareness week. They created a video that we use with the little ones to show them, with the pre-K kinder students, to show them how to behave on the bus, how to board the bus safely. And they've also created other videos. They've done social stories for our students. And they also publish our Wildcat Roar newsletter, and they go around to different teachers and they interview our staff members, they interview other students. So they've been a very great, it's been a very great integral part of our campus, and I'm very proud of each one of them. So Roar reflects our values that we instill in them: R for respect, O for ownership, A for achievement, and R for responsibility. So I'd like to, if you could please give a big round of applause for all the work they've done. They learned brainstorming, they write their own scripts, they record, they re-record. We even have a green room for them where they go and they edit their videos. So I'm very proud of these students, and I'd like to recognize them with this certificate. Our first student is Otto Ledesma. Otto. Janina Vargas. Can you come on out to me and get your certificate? Janina. And Morgan Hernandez. Mira de Torres. Jolene Williamson. Maddie Rubalcaba. Selene Sanchez. Mark Ponce. Keveli Miranda. And Marco Sapana. Sorry, here is Kendra Diaz. next, I would like to recognize one of our teaching staff members that is the recipient of tonight's Above and Beyond recognition. And this person, I chose her because she really does go above and beyond in everything that we ask her, not just for herself, not just for her classroom, not just for her students, but the entire campus. So just one quick example was that we're starting after school extended day, and with that, we have a lot of paperwork that we also, not just the extended day tutorials itself, but we do have to keep track of attendance, we have to keep track of the post data, pre-data, and we have to, there's a lot of data that goes involved into all of this. It's a lot of paperwork, timesheets, and what she did is she came to me, she said, I don't want the teachers to struggle, I don't want them to get paid late, so I'm going to she created this document, this huge Excel document, and she went on ChatGPT. I went on ChatGPT, I figured out how to do this, how to connect all this data so that when our teachers go to extended day, all they have to do is click, 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 and all the information is there for them. And I know it took her countless hours, but that's the type of person she is, and she said, share it with whoever so that it's easier for them. I don't want them to struggle. So she's just amazing, and she does that every day. Like every day, it's not just about herself, it's not just about her students, it's about the whole campus. And so I'd like to recognize her tonight, and that is Ms. Deborah Alanis Gonzalez. Team for their game tonight, and that was our front desk clerk, and that's Miss Monique Lita. If you know her, if you've been to our campus, she's amazing. She knows every single child. My goal has always been to learn every child's name, and I think I'm almost there. But she knows their names, she knows their parents, she knows everything. Like she makes it her goal to get to know all of our students. We give her a task, and she's on it. She goes above and beyond every day, and that is Miss Monique Lita. She said she wished she could make it too, but she also wanted to go out there and support our basketball girls.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ruben Escamilla. I'm the UIL Director for Carrizo Springs CISD. Distinguished board members, Superintendent Pearson, administrators, teachers, parents, and students. It is my honor to stand before you tonight to recognize a group of exceptional students who have demonstrated remarkable talent, dedication, and perseverance. These students have not only excelled in their respective UIL competitions, but have also earned the prestigious opportunity to represent our school at the UIL State Championship. So tonight, it's important we celebrate their hard work and the unwavering support of their academic coaches, their families, and teachers. Their achievements remind us that all the success, it is not just about natural talent, which they do have, but about the discipline to refine that talent and the courage to rise to the challenge. First, let us celebrate Representative Wesley, and I call him Representative Wesley because he qualified for state in UIL Congress in January. UIL Congress is a mock legislative debate competition where students take on the roles of senators or representatives debating and voting on a docket of proposed legislation. I had the privilege of sitting in on one of Wesley's state sessions, and let me tell you, I thought I was watching C-SPAN. These guys are incredible. They're incredible, but better, probably better than C-SPAN. This year, however, our UIL Congress coach has been battling health issues, so he has been out quite a bit. However, Wesley did not waver from this challenge. He would come in on his time, when he had some time off, he would make sure that he practiced, make sure that he came in, read his briefs, read all the legislation that he needed to do in order to be prepared. At regionals, Wesley competed against students from powerhouses such as Wimberley, Lavernia, Bandera, and Bernie Champion. And you may recognize these schools because, yes, they are really exceptional schools. However, Wesley definitely held his own against all these competitors. Okay? So congratulations to Wesley on his wonderful accomplishment. This evening, we also celebrate the state qualifying team of cross-examination Jose Garza and Luis Campa. For those of you that do not know about cross-examination debate, it's a 2-on-2 policy debate format where teams argue for or against a resolution proposing a policy change by the U.S. government. Each team gets to represent their constructive speeches, cross-examines the opponents, and delivers rebuttals. It gets pretty heated, let me tell you, in those rooms. The League is one of the most competitive and rigorous academic and extracurricular organizations in the state. Competing at this level requires months of preparation, which they have done, determination, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. Whether it's academics, athletics, fine arts, or speech and debate, each of these students represents the best on behalf of our school and community for sure. I'm so proud to say that because of these students, Wildcat UIL has had a continued tradition of academic excellence. And I want to thank you, our school board, present and past, for rewarding such excellence by providing everything that the program needs in order to be competitive, and yes, I will say it, even dominate. And thank you to our administrators and directors with whom we work closely for the trust that you place in our program. I see some of them here today, so thank you so much for all that. And Congratulations and best of luck at state to Jose Garza and Luis Campa, who will spend the second half of their spring break at UT Austin representing us at state for CX debate. Thank you so much.
Ms. Villegas and principals, we are very honored to recognize our counselors. So we do have our junior high principal is not able to be here, and our high school principal is not able to be here because we have a 5-district basketball game going on. So, but our junior high and our high school earned the Crest Award. So if we can have Ms. Melissa Kamet, and also our high school representative. We want to acknowledge them for the special recognition for the Crest Award, which is a special recognition that shows their commitment to balancing the needs with the counseling. And so they were our Crest Award winners. We also want to recognize our counselors for the National Counseling Week. And we have Ms. Uriaga, who helps supervise our counselors, to say a few nice words for our counselors.
So, good evening, everyone. I started working with them a long time ago. So then I was let go, and then I came back to them. And they're probably saying, ugh. But you know, they work really hard. They come up with all these ideas. They do amazing things for our kids, and they're always there for them. This group of ladies is some of the best ones that have been around. They will go the extra mile for you, for your child, for anyone. I've had the pleasure of working with them, and I really enjoyed it. So thank you, counselors. Here comes Ms. Morones and Ms. Sosa. They're at CSI. We appreciate everything you do. Who? Tiffany. Oh, Miss Dayon. How about Tiffany? Is she here? No. Okay, so we're just missing Miss Tiffany, and that's it. Everyone else, thank y'all for showing up. And we really appreciate it.
To our board committee reports. We have the Finance Committee first.
Good evening, everyone. Before Mike's going to report, if I may, person, the rationale behind immigration is to make us hospital office more right.
Yes, sir. So, thank you, Mr. Doria. Our board committees are new for this year, and it was an opportunity for us to share information with the board And it is not a quorum, so it's less than 4 members, and it's an opportunity for us to let them know things that are happening, that are going on in the district, and they can ask questions, and then then we have it on our board meeting for the next time, so that they can do a little share out of what was learned during those board meetings. So it is a way for just us to continue to keep our board engaged with the things that are going on in the district.
Thank you, Mrs. Person. We had our first board meeting last month. This was attended by one of the auditors and a representative from leader, who is our advisor for the investment. So this, regarding the final audit report, so the report says that there is no negative findings whatsoever, and what Mrs. Office did was all in compliance with the accounting guidelines and procedures. Yes. So, as they say, we give credit to where credit is due. So, on behalf of the board, I'd like to congratulate Mrs. Diaz and her staff for very well. With regards to the highlights of the audit report, we have first, we have the net position. Anyway, as of August 31, 2024, our net position was 56.8 million, which is 12.9 million higher than the previous year. So, as we know, the net position is a criteria for how the district fares in terms of whether it's healthy or not. So this increase, this 12.9 million increase in our net position is says that our financial condition is healthy, right? And the next highlight is our general fund balance. And as of August 31, 2024, our fund balance was 24.4 million, which is 1.9 million higher than the previous year. So in spite of the fact that we exceeded by like 900,000 our expenditure against budget, we still have an increase of 1.9 million for our fund balance. And this has this because we have, I think, investment earnings made a breakdown of this fund balance. And last but not the least is our investment earnings for last year. And as of August 31, 2024, we had 6.3 million, which is 2.9 million higher than the previous year. So I think this year our investment earnings will play a vital role with regards to our fund balance. That's about all. Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Construction Operations and Safety Committee, which Mr. Villegas wrote up some notes, which I will read. Building and construction notes. After meeting with the various companies who we will be working with, both in construction of our new schools and improvement of our lighting, roofs, and HVAC, I would believe our focus as a board would be to determine which of these projects we would need to prioritize. Further discussion is definitely needed so that we as a board can properly identify both the financial aspects as far as costs to the district and the potential savings we may incur when these energy and building improvements are completed. That was just we had the E3 representatives, we had project managers that were present at the meeting. Okay, on to the curriculum and instruction committee. That also was summarized by Mr. Rodriguez, which I will read for him. As per our CNI board committee meeting, my takeaway from our meeting with staff was the ownership that students and teachers are showing in regards to their benchmarks and scores and where they might stand with their goals. Great to hear that both students and staff were anxious to know where they stood with their progress and projections. That alone shows a refocus and different perspective that our campuses are showing in regards to instruction and academic improvement. Still much work to be done. Looks like we are heading in the right direction. Will the principals be presenting at any upcoming board meetings? Would like to see them present their data. Those are his notes on that. Next, we'll go on to presentation by Education Service Center 20, the teacher incentive allotment.
Good evening, members of the Carrizo Springs CISD Board, Superintendent Pearson, community, and staff. Thank you for allowing me this time to share a little bit of exciting news about teacher incentive allotment. I am a teacher incentive allotment coordinator at the Education Service Center at Region 20, and we support districts in building a local designation system and getting an application submitted so that our great teachers can get more money in our district as well. So it's been an honor to start collaborating with your leadership team. I've been really impressed getting to meet some teachers and just seeing that culture of wanting to make sure that we are continuing to elevate our teachers so that they can better grow our students. So I have a quick 15-minute presentation. We do have those handouts for you, so you can keep those handy, and in that first slide, my email and phone number are there. If any questions ever come up or you want to talk about TIA, it's been a wonderful thing coming into the center after lots of years in education and as a principal of TIA districts, and now being able to help our districts across Texas get this started. Anybody who wants to access those slides, there's a QR code as well. Just will be a quick 15-minute overview of TIA, big basics, and then of course some space for you all to ask any questions. And we'll share as well what our timeline is for when we'll get this started and an application submitted and so on. So if you've heard about TIA, this is it's in its 5th year of implementation in Texas. It's a compensation system and incentive for teachers to come into the teaching profession and stay in the teaching profession. We've seen a lot less enrollment in college education schools in the last 5 to 10 years, and in the last 5 years we have gaps in recruitment and retention for our districts. So our state has been working on this system, and the vision here is that we incentivize more teachers to come in and that we make that education profession more desirable. And in all of this, what we've seen is we're in the 5th year. It started in 1920, which was a difficult year to start with a new system in Texas. And only a few districts were doing it the first 3 years or so. In the last 2 years, we've seen more districts come in, and we're at about 50% of districts in Texas. And I say to our superintendents who are starting right now, it's a great time. We've learned from our other districts, and we've learned over the past years about what works and what doesn't, and making sure that it's brought in with a focus on connecting to our district mission and vision, and so that it's something that's sustainable and adds value. And so here are just some numbers that you can see about how many teachers and districts and money have come in. And there's been a huge increase in the last 2 years for the districts that are implementing TIA, as well as how many teachers are receiving that allotment. We're going to see about twice as much for 24-25, and again about twice as much. And we're at the point now where we'll be at about 75% after this year with all the new districts applying. So it's a great time to come in, and then being a competitive market type of thing, that we are able to provide this and recruit teachers to come in and get allotments to make more money. And I'll show you those amounts in a little bit as well. So TIA, TEA, the Texas Education Agency, and our commissioner and legislatures have set this in place. They've reassured and say that this is the model of compensation that's here to stay for our state. So we can feel confident that these funds will continue to come in. It's not a grant, it's in statute, it's policy. And we are seeing results that there's about 8 to 10 points gain in retention of those teachers that are getting designated. The TIA basics for you to know is that there are 3 levels, starting at recognized, exemplary, master, depending on how a teacher does in their evaluation and in their student growth and assessments. The range of money that a teacher can get goes anywhere from $3,000 to $32,000. And the reason those are different is if you're in a rural district, there's $4,000 extra already, and depending on socioeconomic status and just that base allotment, and I'll show you your specific amounts at Carrizo Springs. We do then prioritize and have higher funding at higher needs campuses. 90% of the funds go directly to teachers that are working directly with students. And once a teacher is designated at one of those levels, that designation is valid for 5 years. It goes with their teaching certificate, and they can start 5 years again if they go up in levels. So there's also this motivation to grow and stay in the profession. TIA is different. If any of y'all have heard of Career Ladder, I know a little earlier some of our committee members said they were part of the strategic compensation system. There have been a lot of tries out there in different states as to starting some sort of reward and system for teachers. What makes TIA different is that it's sustainable, that it really focuses on data, and there's data validation that Texas Tech manages, where we're really looking at how our districts are doing compared to state standards, and our teacher evaluations and student growth measures valid. It's available to all teachers, so it's no longer just if you're giving the STAR test. Any of our teachers, CTE, fine arts, electives, special ed, social studies. So we're working on a way to make sure all of our teachers are eligible. And the idea too, the big concern we get is this is going to feel competitive. It's going to affect our culture negatively. And so the focus and what we've been working on in the past few months is thinking, how do we roll this out so that it actually encourages professional collaboration, and it helps to really focus on the big priorities and have our teachers support each other, because there's no cap to this. So it doesn't mean that only 3 out of 5 teachers in a grade level can get it, or only 50% of teachers on a campus can get it. Our goal as a district should be, we're growing our students, we're working hard, we're seeing accountability ratings go up. Therefore, 100% of our teachers could get designated. And that increasement in recruitment and retention, and telling our young students in high school even that teaching is a great profession to get into, and that we value our educators. Again, every teacher has that potential to be designated. Not much more to say there. But here, one important factor to keep in mind is that with TIA, it's not about the level of achievement. It's not saying that your students have to be at grade level in order to get an allotment. It's about student growth, where our students come in, and how do we bring value to each of those students? What's the percentage of students that met expected growth individually? And so it gives us a great opportunity to really think about our data and about the way that we're making sure our students are making growth in those most foundational skills. And again, in bringing TIA and making it a system that elevates some areas that we need to think about and be more strategic around. We can incorporate optional components. So I told you that the 2 things we have to send in, TEA says we have to do teacher evaluation and we have to do student growth. We get to decide what weight each of those is. So one good thing in the legislature, there was some opposition for TIA at the beginning, is that TEA gives a lot of local control to our districts. So there are very few things they say you must do. It's up to us how we want to roll it out, what tests we want to use, how many observations our teachers will get. And we also can incorporate other components. We'd like to start simple at the beginning to keep data cleaner, but we encourage districts to think about what do you want to prioritize? What's an initiative that we want to encourage? So for example, there are some districts that say a teacher must be certified because we have a lot of teachers that are working on their certification. There have been some districts that have tried teacher attendance because that was an issue. And so just different things that have been tried, but one that we're looking at is student and family surveys and results from surveys being part of the component that help a teacher get designated. And just in all of this work, I want you to know that with our support from Region 20, it's not that we're coming in and just giving a blanket recommendation, that we want to get to know your teams and your leadership and your initiatives and really go back to our mission and vision of what are we focusing on. And if our focus is to inspire and empower our students and staff, how can we use the TIA initiative to make sure that that's the case? This is our estimated timeline. I am guaranteeing to all of our 15 districts that we're helping to get this application done that we will get accepted. But by April 15th, we have to turn in this very lengthy application with lots of decisions. We have a great TIA planning committee that already started today discussing some possible decisions. And by the beginning of the year, we'll know we got accepted. Next year will be our first data capture year. And it gives us some time in the summer to look at that data, turn it into Texas Tech by October 26th. And by April, but really around this time, our districts are finding out, yes, it passed, here are the teachers that got designated, and you may have seen that already districts doing celebrations and pep rallies and bringing the big check to the classroom. And that's a district choice, of course, as to how we celebrate. But around April 2027, we'll be doing that. And we'll be getting a list and being able to communicate to lots of our teachers that they're going to get an extra allotment. And that allotment has to be paid out by the district by August 2027, August 31st. This starts over every year. Every year, every April, we can change our system if we feel like anything needs to be improved or modified, or we can expand to add more teachers. And a new data capture year starts, so anybody who didn't get it the first year can get it that next year or go up in level that next year. The big three critical decisions that we'll be working through is who can earn a designation, because we have to have a valid and reliable student growth measure. We ideally want to have every content area have one of those, but the reality of our education world is we have STAR, we have MAP, we have some that we have to give and that have had a lot of research. But something I share is that there are a lot of vendors out there starting to create some really good assessments for every content area. And just in kind of the view of what it's like in other districts is that a lot of CTE, fine arts, sometimes special ed, social studies, they're not getting added until later or not yet eligible. But wanted to make sure y'all know that we're thinking through a phase-in plan and trying to make sure 100% of our teachers are eligible as soon as possible. How we'll designate, so we'll be working with appraisers on observations and feedback and how to calibrate with each other on that evaluation rubric for T-tests. And then how and when we will compensate will actually come back to you for approval. So the only piece that we will need official approval from you will be the spending plan, and we'll be able to give more information on that as to there's an opportunity for the district to keep 10% of that allotment, and that can be used for TIA administrative costs, for assessments that we want to buy, and so on. So also looking forward to that possibility of using those funds for different initiatives and tools to support teachers and students. Again, we're focusing on validity and reliability with teacher observation and student performance. We do have an opportunity to add other factors. teachers. If we want to elevate something, and every year we can think through that and be strategic. These are those statewide performance standards, just as a guide, because there it says that top 33% of teachers have these scores for each component, but that doesn't mean that only 33% of teachers can get it. It's just kind of an average to help guide that data capture. These are the different ranges for each level. So I want you to see here with recognized, it's from 3 to 9,000, and it goes up in the master level anywhere from 12 to 32,000. Most of our districts are falling in the low 20s and high teens. In here, going back to it's calculated by base allotment, socioeconomic level, and rural status. And at Carrizo Springs CISD, these are our current allotments for this year. So these are calculated by PIMS data and rural status from the year before. Whatever data we have from this year with socioeconomic status. So these may change a little bit, but that's, we're looking at almost 24,000 at a master teacher level. That's on top of their salary. That also goes toward their retirement. So, you know, in TRS, the top 5-year salary is averaged out, and you get 65% of that for the rest of your life. So that's been a huge incentive too for maybe some of those teachers that are getting tired and thinking about retirement, but if they get designated, I've had personal friends that have decided to stay, and now they will have 5 years of a higher salary for TRS. If you go on this link, if you have the slides, you can look up any district in the area, because that sometimes gets competitive. We start finding the districts nearby and see if our allotments are higher. Teachers are getting more savvy about knowing what districts are doing TIA and to which districts they should go to get higher allotments. So your allotment is higher than a lot of districts, and that's a big plus. That 90%, 10%, it's, you know, one of the things is that sometimes as a district we'll get funds and we have to decide where those funds will go. With this, 90% it's already decided. It needs to go straight to teachers that are working directly with students, and we can keep 10% for specific things, and just as in the understanding of what's allowable and not allowable, there's a specific list, and once we finalize this plan, that can be something that we update you on. Well, the big part of TIA too is that this is not just something that's decided at the top and then we just decide and tell people what to do. So we really want that stakeholder engagement, and we want to hear questions, and so we're starting with a TIA planning committee today where we have teacher representatives. And on Monday, we're doing 4 presentations at Service Center to tell our teachers about TIA and give a survey that will help us in finalizing our application. Each year, TEA will also send a survey at the beginning of the year. That's a teacher buy-in survey the first year, and then we'll do an annual TIA evaluation. So that's something for you to know that will be coming in next year that will be good data to analyze and see how teachers are feeling about TIA. And it's not something that is a data point for TEA in any way. It's really just done as a way for districts to make sure that they're getting feedback from their teachers. And one of the concerns we hear sometimes is like, oh, the details, it's going to be so much work, or it's not going to feel fair. But what we're seeing over the years of implementing TIA is that it's making teachers more engaged in the coaching and in the T-test process, and that it's helping increase performance in teachers and that teacher growth. So, thank you for letting me be part of your team for a little while, and really our goal is to stay around and be that resource as we continue to adapt and design our TIA system, and that we're really maximizing that impact for all of the areas that you focus on. And just as an FYI there, again, we'll be with your teachers on the 18th, and there's a survey that you can look at of what we'll be asking them for feedback on, and then the TIA Planning Committee will sit with that feedback and start making some decisions. And just ending here with teachers, at first are nervous, principals, administrators at first are nervous, or it takes a lot more work. But in the end, what we're seeing is that it's helping teachers feel valued. It's helping appraisers be more aligned with their teachers and what we're looking for in classrooms. And it's helping districts see more student growth. So that is our goal. And I want to make sure you have handy two of the main resources if you ever want to read through those. But want you to not have to do that, and you can always contact me with any questions that come up. And thank you. Any questions? Well, I must have done a really good job. Thank you all so much. It's been a pleasure getting to work with you. Look forward to seeing you again and updating you in the future.
Thank you. That's exciting for our teachers. Okay, next we have presentation by E3 Integral Solutions to present potential project scope of work items to be included in the design build project with budget estimates to date for discussion purposes only.
Madam President, members of the board, Ms. Pearson, thank you so much for once again providing some time for us to share some more information. I think tonight we have some really useful information that I think you're going to appreciate. I don't think it's going to be a big surprise to you, but nonetheless, it's a lot of information that I know that you're going to have to deal with one way or the other sooner or later. So, with me in this presentation, my name is Bill Savarino, I'm a business development representative. We also have Brian Walkos, he's our Director of Engineering in South Texas. We also have Donald Todd, our Director of Construction Operations too. So both of these gentlemen walk the facilities as well, so if there are questions that come up, it'll be a joint effort answering them. I think it was a perfect lead in to when Ms. Franco read Mr. Rodriguez's message from the committee meeting where he talked about prioritizing projects. And that's what we're going to attempt to do tonight, is to share some information. There's not going to be any decisions made in terms of yes or no, or we're moving forward or not. It's strictly, we're at the point where we're ready to write specifications and walk subcontractors and all of those type of things. We're going to provide you estimates of what we think based on experience. We just got approved at Eagle Pass for a $5 million project at their junior high. So all of the estimates are based on our projects that are recent projects and in the area. So tonight, our goal is to come away with some sort of direction in moving forward where our engineering can provide build some specifications and walk subcontractors. We'll look at the facility observations, some potential scope of work, budget estimates. We talked about a menu of services. I know Nick had brought that up before. We want to provide you and let you guys, we go out and find it, we bring it here, and the district makes a decision on moving forward with what you would like the scope of work to be. And then project, we'll give you kind of what our recommendation is based on the walkthrough and personnel feedback of principals and walking through the staff, talking to staff at the schools, and then we'll answer any questions that you may have at that point. So we're going to fly through the first couple slides. We're always going to be transparent. We're very flexible. When we talk about neutral, we're not pushing product. We're not a manufacturer of product. So whatever it is we come back with, at the end of the day, it's going to be the best fit for what the need is, and overall the best value we feel that we bring to the district. And that's why we're a partner of TASB. So know that you have TASB again whenever you go with E3. This process has worked over and over again. We've never been involved in litigation. This is a list of just Texas school districts where we've gone down this road. So I showed this slide a long time ago, and the first one, whenever we talk about our pricing now and in the future, I want to make sure that you understand that the pricing that we're talking about includes everything, all soft costs, engineering, project development, construction management, everything associated with that project. There's no hidden fees or anything like that. I know you're dealing with a couple of different procurements right now where you have different people doing certain responsibilities in a new construction. With us, ours are turnkey cost for a project, and if we miss it, we eat it. No change orders to the district, so remember that. I know y'all remember that. That's the one thing that everyone always remembers in our presentations. So when we talk about the menu of services, we really looked at all the facilities, knowing that how the project is going to be paid for will be up to the board, but knowing that it can be a combination of bond dollars, fund balance, and savings resulting from the project. So we understand that. We'll do whatever we can. It makes no difference to us which way the project is funded, but know that that's where the dollars came from. This came up, probably Mr. Rodriguez had asked that question in our committee, where the monies were coming from, and really appreciate the time, Ms. Franco and Ms. Ortiz too, that y'all took for that evening. I thought it was very, very good. So the 4 areas that we looked: HVAC units, we looked at the controls, LED lighting, of course, that's usually the no-brainer of all of them because the payback is so good, and then roofing. So those 4 areas is what we concentrated on at the facilities. We'll look at the HVAC first, and I know that I don't know for sure if this is a surprise, but what we use as criteria of units that possibly need to be replaced is an age. So anything that's 11 years or older, right? So anything above 10 years old, we put down as a number. So, for instance, at the high school, 103 units are already over that age. At the junior high, 13. At intermediate, 24. Administration in this building is 45 units, and the DAP is 4 units. So I know that the district knows that already in terms of the substantial need, but age has crept up, and that didn't even, sometimes you can have a unit that could be 5 years old that's having some humidity issues, but this is strictly based on age, so we know that the units are getting up there. Some pictures that we put in here, just some HVAC observations, and the units are just beat up, and your maintenance department's doing a great job in terms of just trying to get by and doing what they can to make it happen. So on the control side, you have the high school, the junior high, and the intermediate is on the train system. And if we were to go down that road, we'd be looking at expanding that system. Instead of ripping it out, retro-commission the control system and then expand either a network thermostat type of a system or expand the train system to the other facilities. Then you see those were the type of systems. On the controls, both of this is the junior high and high school underneath, and we feel very confident that with some controlled work, we can really make a dent in this. But those both, it's like y'all know that the springs is underneath those facilities, but underneath there's no ventilation or anything like that, so it's just wet. That picture on the right is actually underneath the building at the high school where he's running his finger along, and it's just dripping wet. And so there's some things we can do to help with that. So we're trying to cut the moisture from the roof and from the bottom up. So it's going to take a combined effort there. On LED lighting retrofit, we do these all over the state. Like I said, great payback. We did look at, or we didn't go through and actually look at the baseball field, but we have an idea. We do stadium lighting as well. But knowing after going through the whole district and really getting an understanding of what the needs are and the dollar amounts associated with them, and we talk about prioritizing. I don't know where that sits, but just know that we do stadium lighting as well if that becomes the priority. You can see the lighting, whether it's fixtures or damage or just burnout, you have the combination of everything. It's this old lighting. And then the roofs, and this is major at your high school, junior high, and intermediate for sure. So currently they're Modbit roofs, and the pictures is bubbling. You go inside, there's leaks in the ceiling tiles. There's leaks that have actually gone into lighting fixtures. So definitely a major issue there in terms of any moisture in the building So there's a lot of numbers on this page here, and what we did was we said, okay, LED lighting retrofit, HVAC replacement, controls, and roofing. We had a range. On the next page after this, what I took is I took the median of all of those numbers so that we could at least look at a number. And like I said, this is nothing concrete. This is just an estimate that we can all use moving forward with. So a substantial amount of work that is needed here at the district. And you can just see the high school alone, just on the HVAC, $5.1 billion, that's an estimate just for the high school alone. So after reviewing all the facility needs and after visiting with personnel, including your administration, knowing that money is always an issue, I had come up with, okay, we want to prioritize, the word prioritize again, and if it was my money, I know that the most important the two most important at this point, high school and junior high, those were always the biggest complaints in the buildings. It's just, they're just uncomfortable. That alone is somewhere in the, I'm sorry, and then this, that doesn't work. There were 3 different roofing options, so it's not both of them, it's going to be one or the other. So one's a TPO, just an overlay. We're going to go out with infrared and scan the roofs and see if there's moisture in the roof and see if that's going to determine what has to be done in the roof itself before you even put an overlay on top of it. So the one is just TPO overlay. The other one would be a replacement of the roof if there's moisture in it, and then using TPO. And then the other one is going right back in with a mod bed, which is the most expensive of the 3. So in addition to this, I know that the intermediate school and the administration in this building are 2 priority schools as well, but a decision hasn't been made yet, from my understanding, unless that has changed in a brief time. So at this point in time, not knowing exactly where the district is going, that's the reason I just said, do we want to do a phase 1, develop these projects, bring these projects back to the board, see where the numbers come out after we get the subcontractors, and then call that a phase 1. We talked about that in the committee meeting one time. Can you do multiple phases? If you said we really want to look at the high school, the junior high, intermediate, and the administration, if that's the priority, we can develop all 4 of those. And if you only pick the 2 schools at that time, that's great. We just didn't want to give you sticker shock of the numbers that we're talking about here for the district. We can develop the whole project. We can develop everything on here. But what we didn't want to do is, at the end of the day, there's a cost associated with the engineering and design, and we didn't want to waste the district's money on engineering design if the district didn't have any intention of moving forward with something like that, like stadium lighting, for one. That's a good example. So we're completely open to developing, taking the next step, but we wanted to give you all some information in terms of what we're seeing, what we think will be a range of dollar amounts for these projects. So is there any questions on this? I know it's a lot of information here. This one, doesn't want to get it. On the HVAC units?
So, yes, sir, you're correct. The chill system, I think that's less than 5 years old. What this dollar amount is referring to are the DX units, the ones that aren't on the chiller, the ones that are have their own refrigerant, as well as some of the air handlers up there. Because while the chiller system is relatively new, the air handlers, some of those are close to 30 years old. They were there with the old building before, and they've been reused, and they're just way past kind of their useful life. Correct, and it's even parts to fix that now.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I know at the meeting that y'all had, the construction meeting, we talked about how the junior high and high school, that the problem they have, that they didn't have vapor barriers underneath, and that's why they were getting so wet. Is that part of is that something that you're gonna repair?
That was in here, yes, ma'am. The controls, that's in the controls number, yes, ma'am. That was something that we were looking at to bring ventilation in there to dry that out.
And on the roofing, what's the system, the flat roof systems that we have would stay in place, they were just gonna be redone, the roofs would be redone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
And
ma'am.
I have a question, is there like a drainage system up there for those type of roofs, since they're?
So there is, let's see, I think that's what this one right here on the right is, and it's the water puddled up in the drain. It was clogged. So, yes, ma'am, there is supposed to, it just wasn't working properly. Oh, yes, and there was also some sloping, the ponding here in the bottom right. We'll be able to address all that too. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question, sir. So, you said 11 years is the norm to swap out equipment. Can you use training?
We can use whatever you want. The existing control system that you have is trained. It's a trained system. We can retro commission that to bring it up to speed and do what needs to be done to make it a working system, so that if the district had a financial commitment, we don't want to just pull it out if it still works, right? So we got to go through that and commission that. In terms of the actual air conditioning units, we don't have a preference of that. So if a lot of districts do have a preference because they have people that can work on them and so forth. So we always leave that up to the district in terms of when we specify what the manufacturer is. If the district has a preference outside of training, we can use that. We're not tied to anybody.
So the majority that you saw is trained in the
Yes, sir.
district. That's
2/3 of the district is trained.
and the problem rate it's about 11 years.
So for the DX units, the rooftop units and the split systems that look like the ones most of us have at home, the expected useful life of those is 15 years. So with good maintenance and keep them up, they're supposed to last about 15 years. And it's kind of plus or minus depending on a lot of factors. Putting together a budget like this, we cut it off at 11 years because by talking to you today, by the time we get this project development completed, we can go to construction, they're ordered, they're installed. If we did, it's going to be close to that time before everything's done. We've gone through them. It's not like they're all exactly 10 years old. A lot of those units are 12, 13, 14 years old. The idea being, if we cut off at 15 today and then go through this whole process, by the time we're complete a year from now, or however long it takes, you're going to have a unit that's now 15 years old. Then, like, hey, why did you forget this one? So that's a thought. We can certainly change the criteria. If we get that direction from the school board, we can change the cutoff to 15 years. We can, ultimately, this is your project. You do it however you would like it.
So in your experience, what brand has the longest life expectancy?
Donald might be better equipped to answer that, but ultimately, a lot of our recommendations come into a lot of factors. The equipment itself, but also the service you guys get. The ones your staff is already familiar with and what their preferences are for working on them and repairing them, making sure that they have parts available. It's not some sort of special order that's going to take a month or two to get here. So a lot of that goes into our consideration, but ultimately we look at the district to help make that decision.
So to answer your question on manufacturers, they're really, the heart and soul of each DX unit is primarily the same. It really boils down to how you maintain the equipment, just the longevity of that piece of equipment. So in my opinion, they're all about the same. Yeah, train, carrier.
And to the point, with the units at the DAEP building, those units are 31 years old. I mean, the staff has done a heck of a job to make those last that long. A lot of these units are 22 years old,
new ACs, with new roofing, is there also, are the roofs, is there any type of insulation to help with the efficiency of the ACs? Like, is there any insulation on the ceilings?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. That's part of, whenever we do a scan, you actually go in and make sure that that insulation is not wet. That'll make the determination whether it has to be pulled or not. If it's all wet and needs to be replaced, that becomes more expensive. But yes, that's all part of it.
Oh, so that hasn't like been
No, ma'am.
fully checked to see?
Not yet, no ma'am, no ma'am, that's, yeah, that's our next step. If we say, if the feeling coming out tonight is a bridge to HVAC, everything we talked about, you said we want to move forward with it, then that's one of the first things that we do on the roofing side, for sure. We can't do anything until that's done. On the roofing side. So he said that we can add insulation on top of that. So I know that's a lot of information. So I think, I know that y'all want to have an idea of what everything costs, pretty much high school, junior high, intermediate, and this administration, is that pretty much, it's going to be hard for you to make a decision. If there's not any hard no's, like, no, don't mess with that building, we have other plans, or whatever the reason is, we don't need to do anything at that facility. If there's not any of those, then we'll move forward and do the whole district. And then at that time, y'all can basically get the real pricing back, and then you can make a decision on how you want to do the facility. Is that pretty much what you're thinking, or is that kind of, would that be a direction that you want us to move forward with, is go ahead and just develop it all and walk subcontractors through it all? Because none of these facilities are definitely a no, don't touch. If they're not, then we'll do it all, and then we'll make a decision at that point, after we get all the pricing back.
I say we kind of discuss, now we have numbers to look at, right? We got numbers to look at, so we can, as a board, get together and discuss what our priorities are for moving forward.
Because once we hear this, then after, then we start thinking of a whole lot of other questions that are going to play a consideration in what we.
Well, and keep in mind that there's nothing financially that is changing tonight by us moving forward and developing. We can develop it all and have all of that information for you to get together as a board to make a decision at that point. These are just estimates, and I just wanted to give you these numbers and see if there were any hard stops on any of the facilities. If they're not, Mr. Ortiz, if you would rather have real numbers, that's not a problem for us to do that. So it can bring it back to you so you can make that decision at that time. But it's totally up to you. So
I just speak for myself, right? We got numbers, whatever they discussed it with the board members,
okay.
What we got, right? What it costs. But maybe at the high school, we want to do one thing, and then the junior high do another thing. I think we got some numbers to look at.
Okay.
Before we move forward, so just say, okay, let's look at the high school, junior high, and intermediate.
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm just picturing myself all about.
I agree. More discussion.
Correct. Now that we have numbers to look at, right? I know it's not set in stone, but at least we got something to go with, and say, you know what, at the high school we can do this, at the junior high we can do this.
Right.
Instead of just sitting here right now looking at all these numbers, we can discuss.
Yeah, it's pretty overwhelming right now. There's a lot of numbers.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So,
I understand.
but thank you for the presentation.
Yes, sir.
I have a question on your recommendation, the one that has the purple on the roof. Those are the prices of the two options, where it says roof option and then the other option. One is TPO overlay and the other one says TPO replacement.
Yes, ma'am. And so the page before that, this page here, shows all three of the roof options. So if it's one's an overlay, the second one's a the first two are TPOs. One's a TPO overlay. The middle one is a TPO replacing. If all the insulation is wet, everything, we have to replace that part of the roof. And then the third one is the mod bid, which is.
Can you tell us what a TPO is? Because I mean, is that like the same kind of roof we have, or is that a different, what type of, what is
No,
that?
what you currently have is the mod bid roof. The TPO is a reflective PVC. It's used a lot for reflective reasons and energy savings, and it's a less expensive way. And you'll get, I think y'all had asked about warranties in the meeting before. We can specify a 20-year warranty for a TPO as well. So it's just a material that's used, a different type of roofing system than what the mod bid is. The mod bid is, you see that a lot of the gravel, it's what, yeah, like shingles. You see the shingles? That's the mod bid. The TPO is and I can bring you some pictures of that too, but it's just a white reflective material that covers the roof, and it's warranty. So we've done a lot of the TPO in South Texas. So.
Is that more efficient than the mod bid, or is that
Yes, ma'am.
just?
Yes, it's a reflective to begin with, and it's less expensive. So.
That's spray on?
No, sir, it's an actual material that overlays over the existing. And whenever we're doing the roofing, we'll be able to get hard numbers for that as well. After we do the infrared scan and so forth, then we'll determine what it is that has to be done for that roof underneath that, and then we can get pricing for mod bid and the TPO. So that's it. We'll pause until we hear back from the district and from Ms. Pearson, and at that point we'll develop the project if that's the direction we want to go. So, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go ahead and go on to TWS Project Manager. Mr. Martinez.
Good evening, Board President Franco, Superintendent Pearson, members of the board. Thank you so much for having us tonight. We're excited to present some of our status updates. We're going to start off with, Ms. Pearson has brought such a spirit with the student ambassadors. We had a Learning Beyond the Classroom piece that we're ready to show tonight on our website. Thank you again, Ms. Pearson, and to your team for coordinating all those. I'll call them future geotech engineers. So. you again to your team, Ms. Pearson, for allowing us to come in and get the science behind the actual geotech. If I can get my team up here, you'll have hired some really awesome experts in the field. We got MTR here, we have Tara here, and of course our awesome designers, architects, ERO, if they come up. Each one is going to take a microphone tonight, give a little update of where we are and where we're going here in the near future. I'm going to go ahead and start it off with the next slide, please. Next slide. So we met with all the focus groups again, what I like to call is the pencil phase. We're in the pencil phase where we're just getting concepts and ideas and putting them on paper saying, what do you feel about this concept? Teachers, custodians, maintenance teams, our awesome child nutrition folks. So we met again with our focus groups, made some changes, alterations, because like I said, we're in pencil, we can erase some of those walls and move things around. We met with the bond committee, had some great conversation with those individuals, and then the facilities and construction committee also. The next steps we do have are, we're actually going to come back and meet with your athletic director, your librarians, and get some more of the input during this pencil phase. Moving forward in April is our design development phase and getting the DDs to you as a board to review and approve. So we are on track to stay through ERO and our teammates behind me. So that's coming up. The flood study, traffic study, and for those focus groups, SILA and SPECS. We saw in the video or the pictures that Mr. Bill showed about all the condensation underneath the facility of y'all's facilities right now. The team of experts behind me are here to prevent that, to ensure that we create that bubble inside the facility, whether it's the sunlight, the rain, the springs underneath, whatever moisture's in there, that we create those vents and make sure that these two campuses are set up for success. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to, I believe, ERO to talk about what we've done. If you go on to our bond site, you click on the video about the teachers' input. That video had 2,000 views within a week, and it had over 170 likes. If you have some time, please go review that. Just help like us and put that message out there. Mr. Artavia, like Caleb.
My name is Caleb. I'm a BRO project manager and architect at BRO Architects. So just as a recap, like Nick had mentioned, a couple weeks ago we had several focus group meetings. We got a lot of good feedback that we have already started internalizing. Part of those meetings was reviewing the survey information that we had sent to all the teachers with CSE and CSI based on the design of the classrooms that they would like. Formalize that, the results of those surveys, and generate a couple floor plan options and just showing potential locations for smart board, movable teacher desk, millwork, cubby locations, and toilet locations. We have both CC and CSI, so here's a couple of examples we wanted to show the teachers and get their further feedback. Another part of that was generating 4 options on the exterior. So where we ended last year, we showed a massive model. The next part of that design process is to skin the cat. So there's put optics on it, I guess, if you will. And so we have 4 options here that we wanted to get a survey sent out and get feedback. This will help inform us on the rest of the design of the building. Just a couple more perspectives. We just went ahead and modeled the 2 administrative portions of the buildings.
Good evening. So I'm Brandon Dutting. I'm with MTR Engineers. We're civil engineers. We operate all over the state of Texas. I'm coming to you today out of San Antonio. And we're happy to be here. Thank you again for selecting us as part of your team. So this image just shows the proposed location of the intermediate elementary school on the property that you currently have now. So as you can see from the overlay, the building is proposed to be on top of the existing baseball field, and it's actually just behind where you're sitting now. And so from this image, you can see the partial site plan has been developed with this, and the roadways tying in. What we're proposing as well is a future school connection road that would extend from the existing, this side of the creek essentially to the other side of the creek, connect the junior high school with the high school and with the intermediate campuses here. So that's part of what we're looking into right now. The main thing that will play into both the decision on the location of the building and how this roadway connection occurs is the floodway that is separating the two pieces of property. So this image just shows you that there is a FEMA floodplain that does traverse the property through here. It's an unstudied floodplain, which means that there's no actual calculations that have been done on the floodplain. It's based on just the amount of area that's contributing and the topography that they have on the property. So the blue shading, blue-green shading is the FEMA map as it's currently reflected. The more reddish purplish area is kind of a area that's not currently mapped, but just connecting the 2 points we can show you about where that floodplain would fall. You can see how parts of your existing high school campus, for example, the tennis court area and the parking lot down there, are partially within an area that would be in the floodplain area. So now these maps don't take into account, like I said, topography. They're more, they take into account the topography before development. So just because something is shown to be inside the limits doesn't mean that the water actually gets high enough to get onto those. It just shows that the water is hitting those areas and having to go around. So part of what we'll be doing initially, and I've already started to work on, is this flood study. This is going to give us the base flood elevations, or the elevations of the water surface in that creekway or the floodway. That's going to help us to determine where to set the finished floor of the building. Based on our initial survey information, and this is the drainage area map. So this shows you the contour lines, which is the topography that we look at for purposes of elevation and also for understanding which way water is going to flow. But you can see the upper left-hand corner of what's outlined in that color. That's where the campus is. You can see how large the drainage area is. And one of the good things, though, that we do know from looking at the topography that we've already picked up on the property is that there is 12 feet of fall. So this is the survey data that we've picked up already, overlaid on the background of the property. These small dots that you can't read right now are actual elevations that have been picked up in the field. And from the elevations where the ball field is located now and where the creekway is located, there's 12 feet of fall, or 12 feet of elevation difference that we're able to work with, okay? So what we're in the process of doing is studying that floodway to understand the water surface elevations and to know what elevation we're going to set the building to ensure that we're not going to have any flooding occur on the property from the floodplain. The other thing that we know, because you're in Canizo Springs, right? So there are springs, there's groundwater that does flow in the area. That 12 feet of elevation change also gives us the ability to work with outfalling subsurface flow or groundwater flow. The plan that we currently have that we're thinking through right now is to utilize storm drain systems in and around the new campus. So we've got nice courtyard areas in between the buildings that are being planned. And we're going to pick up surface drainage on, and we're going to tie in roof drains into to get the water away from the buildings very quickly. But we're also going to be able to utilize those drainage lines or the pathways that are being trenched from this pipe to carry away groundwater that would get into those trenches. So we'll be able to do that as well. The geotech work that's been done, which is the drilling that you saw the video of earlier, that's going to give us good information on the soils that are out there. So we'll be able to make decisions about the type of foundation systems, the depth of the soil replacement that we have to do to mitigate for any kind of movement in the building. It's also going to give us water surface elevations, elevations where water is perched, elevations where water is rising to give us an indication of any springs that we may be encountering in the location of the footprint of the building. So we use that information to help us to, on top of utilizing the drainage systems that we're planning for the campus, to be able to breathe down that water. We'll also be able to make decisions about additional French drain systems or other systems that we put in place, barriers, interceptors, things that we can put in the ground to receive and intercept groundwater and then convey it over to the local end of the property. Again, we've got 12 feet to work with, which is a good number. That can potentially keep any of the groundwater at least 12 feet below the elevation of the building finished floors, which is well outside of the zone where we have to worry about it affecting movement of the building. So that's not anything new to us, just by the way. So groundwater, floodplains, we deal with those things every day, different campuses all over the state, okay? So this is not a unique situation. The things that I'm pointing out to you are informational. They're things that we have to use to make decisions, okay? So it shouldn't concern any of you that these things are here or that we're making these decisions. It should be important that we're doing the studies to know the answers that we have to have in order to make the right decisions about what to do with the property. If any of you are familiar with San Antonio, for example, the University of Hard Work, it sits at the headwaters of the San Antonio River. I stood at the edge of the creek that's there and had groundwater flowing all along below my feet at a rate that it looked like they just had minor water hoses just running underneath me. But we were able to build a football field on top of that, put in a gymnasium for them, and do other facilities down at that same elevation just by handling those things with impermeable liners, French drain systems, the type of things that you would experience here in Carrizo Springs, right? Groundwater flow. So this is nothing new that we're going to be dealing with here. And we're getting the information up front to know what we're dealing with so we can handle it properly in design. So another point that has been a point of concern, I guess, has been the traffic. You may have noticed, had some people out here maybe a week or two ago taking traffic counts. They've been running the traffic counts along all the streets bounding the property here, and taking data counts at the high school, data counts at the exterior of the roadways in front of the junior high, as well as out here on the front of the Mount, and then down at the elementary school even, where that's located to understand traffic entry, exiting the campuses, and then the background roads that are there just from vehicular traffic that's passing through. So all those traffic counts have been picked up already. They're being analyzed in the office. We're using that data to put together exhibits that will explain or describe turning movements, number of traffic counts, type of vehicles moving on those roadways, so that we can plan for those things with the new design that we're going to be putting on the campus here. All of that to say that we're going to be using that data to determine where we want to have pickup, where we want to have drop-off at the new campus, how we want to, if we need to, adjust anything at the existing campuses, the connection between the existing facilities here and the junior high and out to the public roadway in front of that will give us an opportunity to further split traffic. One of our main goals typically is to separate pedestrian, or I should say POVs, privately owned vehicles, parents dropping off students from buses. So we want to have and identify where buses are going to be entering the campuses, where parents are going to be coming onto the campuses to pick up and drop off students. We want to understand timing between pickup and drop off at the different campuses, and then to be able to resolve conflicts between those. So we do that by location, by separating with new roadways, and then when we get those conflicts down to the point that we can minimize them, then we work further to do that by maybe looking at offsetting the drop-off times. So all of that's in the works right now. The traffic study, like I said, is progressing, and we'll have answers on that. What I'm getting feedback on is maybe in the next 3 weeks, we should have good traffic information. We've also got the flood study underway right now. Same time frame, maybe another 3 weeks, we'll have good information about what base flood elevations are. Taking a little bit longer just because there's no data out here right now. We're literally working off of state topography maps, and the FEMA map is just very rudimentary. There's not a lot of data on that. So we're working from scratch to develop this information to make these decisions. One of the things we're also looking at is for the existing elementary. There is some concern, I guess, about maybe parents who are used to or accompanying walking their kids to the campus. I understand that there's an option out there maybe to have a shuttle service from that campus over to this new campus here, just to kind of facilitate what people are used to doing and continue to bring the campus together here at this one location.
Thank you, Ray. I'm going to bring up Mr. James, who was awesome with our students. Thank you so much again for helping our students understand what happens with our soil testing. We kind of got a little backed up because of the freeze that 1 week kind of threw us off as far as him coming in, his team coming down to test. But we have expedited. He did put our soil samples up to the front. Y'all know our media guy, Pablo, right now is videoing some of the testing. Actually, he's going to be headed to Lubbock tomorrow. And some of where's our dirt? It's in Lubbock and it's in San Antonio being tested in the lab. And we're going to have some of that video also for the community and for the board to take a look at. So I'll turn it over to you to talk about our soils.
Thank you. Good evening again, Board, Madam President, Superintendent, people that are present. My name is James Jimenez. I'm the Vice President of Operations for Terra Testing. We're a geotechnical engineering firm, and we've been in business for over 47 years, providing geotechnical drilling, testing, geotechnical engineering, construction materials testing throughout the whole state of Texas, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. We're certified, ASHTO, U.S. Air Force, also TxDOT, DBE. And so just to reiterate a little bit what these people spoke here, it was a pleasure and honor to spend time with the kids and showing them the science behind the soils here at Carrizo Springs. The geotechnical report is a tool used to communicate the site conditions and the design of the construction recommendations to the design. The objective is providing specific information of subsurface soils, rocks, water, and condition. The importance of preparing an adequate geotechnical report cannot be overstressed or rushed. The information contained in the report is referred to often during the design period, the construction period, and frequently after the completion of the project and resolving the claims like E3 is doing at this time. Therefore, the report should be clear and concise and accurate. We have, like Mr. Martinez indicated, we have 3 rigs, so we expedited our rigs over here and got the drilling part of it done, and we shared that with the school district and the students as an ambassador class. And I'm sorry, with the class, I thought we had a picture of the boring lots. But we took 16 borings within the footprint of the building, and we took soil samples, and so we rushed, like I said, we rushed all the samples through there. We have some preliminary data already in the laboratory. I would say about 60% of the material results being analyzed back and indicating that we have sandy clays, clay sands with gravel, and increases with the boring depths. I'm very transparent with everybody here, the school board. We did hit water in the borings, about 80% of our borings, we did encounter water, but it's not a great concern as long as we got the right design team here. You know, there's ways of eliminating and redirecting that water to different areas. So we are really taking our job very seriously for the school board, for Carrizo Springs, the Wildcat, so that way we can make sure that we give a good foundation design parameters for the design team in order to make sure that this school is built right and will last for 50, 100 years for the region. Any questions? We explored, our deepest borings were 30 feet and most of the borings were 20 feet. Based on the recommendations that the architect provided to us and the structural engineers, you know, we're looking at a single-story building, so normally that determines the depth of the borings. I mean, if we were building a 2-3-story foot boring, we would probably go a little bit deeper. But with those depths, I'm pretty sure we can get good bearing capacities and good information parameters for the design team. Any other questions? All right, well, thanks again, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks, sir. Butler Cohen could not be here tonight due to an illness, but we asked to give some feedback regarding the market of construction right now. What they had provided us was that there was not an immediate red flag for the market of construction, but they are now. Some general contractors, some subcontractors are putting a little clause into their proposals regarding the tariffs and having a percentage available for that. We asked about labor, as it, you know, so nothing really big as far as the construction market and moving forward with these two schools. I'd like to open it up for any questions for any of our teammates here or myself.
I have a question. So based on the initial result of the testing, we can say right now, finally that we're going to build that school right there. It's final.
Yes, sir. Everything that we move forward with has made us approve that site, done the surveys, the community, all the information gathered from our contractors. Our awesome team here are talking about how they use French drains to redirect some of that water underneath, make sure the foundation's there. So moving forward, yes, sir.
You don't have the traffic study results back yet?
We'll have that in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Yes, ma'am.
How many were back in one?
I was about 80% of them. I think we had 16 borings out of the 16 borings. I think we had about 13 with water and about 3 of them were completed. And it was funny because one was dry over here and then another one in the back. Around the baseball field was where we had most borings.
So there's a drainage that actually is underneath there. So the French drains, what we're looking at, the design to move some of that water where it needs to go. And then, if it rains, use some of those other drain items to move the water where it needs to go. That way that foundation stays where it needs to be.
And those bores that you said that you hit water are on where the actual school is going to sit?
Would you like to come talk about French drains and how they work in the sense of the underneath drainage systems that we have right now in that area?
Right, so the French drain is essentially going to be, we dig down in the ground to the elevations that we need to protect the building structure. Okay, and it serves two purposes. One is to reduce the amount of water in the ground, obviously for humidity and things that affect the foundation and the system. The issues you're having now with humidity inside the buildings, right? The other is to keep that water out of the foundation when you've got soils that are going to heave and swell with the introduction of water. And so what we can do, and there's different ways and varying extents that we do this to, is add the French drains, which is essentially a trench dug in the ground filled with gravel with perforated piping that pulls the water, wicks the water out of the ground, kind of like a water well, right? The hole and pump at the bottom, the water goes through the ground, fills into that hole, and we pump it up, and that's the water that we use for a lot of our houses out in the rural areas. It works the same way, except we use the gravity, that 12-foot fall we have between the building's proposed location and the ground and the creek, and we drain that water out of the ground where we want to put the building into the creeks. And we do that, again, we can take gravel down really deep and get to that 12-foot depth. We can bring it up a little shallower if we need to, depending on what the foundation requirements are, depending on the water surface elevations that we found in the borings. So we do that boring, we say we hit water, but to what depth, right? Was the water 2 feet below ground? Was it 10 feet below ground? We use that information to make decisions about the French drain systems. The other things that I've done, I mentioned to you the Incarnate Work Headwaters, because it is literally in the football field before we came onto the property. They had just these big perforated CMP or tin pipes in the ground. They were just taking water and then they had pumps in them and they were just pumping them out. One of them was in the back of the end zone on the football field. So what we did is we ended up taking and putting in an impermeable PVC liner, kind of like what you put on the roofs, right? It's a PVC liner that goes over the top. And then we put a French drain system beneath that so that we could draw that water away and give it a point that it would drain to. And then in this case, we put drainage systems on top of that PVC liner to handle the surface water, the rain coming down to the area that we were trying to protect. So one of the cases on one of the buildings that we did at the University of the Incarnate Word, it actually has a full grid of French drain underneath the building. So we literally went at 20 feet on center or 40 feet on center, I don't remember the exact offset. And then we grid it, and we ran and connected all those pipes, and then we discharged them out to the adjacent river. So depending on to the extent and to the elevation of that water that we've got in the ground, we can make different decisions about how that design is to be done.
Thank you, Raymond. So basically, if you go out right down the baseball field is here, that creek over here is 12 feet below. And what these gentlemen do are going to basically go underneath and develop a grading system to pull that water away that's there right now to ensure the soils are perfect for putting the weight of that facility on those two facilities there.
I don't know, I have a question. I don't know if based on any of the testing y'all did on the other schools, do our schools have any of that type of French drains or any of that drainage system that you're describing?
I have only been on the side of your high school. I haven't been able to see it. I mean, that photo says so much when the water that, help me out, Bill, what is that hydration that's just there underneath is given me the signal that there's not probably one there. It might be clogged, it might have not been done right, but I mean, y'all walk the facility, so.
For our purposes, what we observe so far is the water in the building is just trapped. There's no ventilation, there's no drain that we observe. We got a copy of some line drawings, but we don't have everything from construction to verify what's there. Our inspections is good fine.
So then, any repairs that we do to those existing schools, without any of that proper drainage, are we even gonna fix the problem?
It's part of the problem, but in my opinion, that water that's trapped into the building and any water that's infiltrated from the roof, it's still going to get inside the building, and it's still going to cause some huge problems, it's still going to impact the water mold. So solving those would be the holistic approach to do one deal with that volume, replace your HVAC unit, so it's all done at the same time.
Is that something that y'all do?
We've done it at the school district in fact.
Is that in the quotes that you have given us for your, all that repair?
Yes.
Will we have some type of like breakdown or some type of like description of what exactly that price tag contains so that we know what we're getting?
The next step, we bring the subcontractor, we go through the total safety, and we get real numbers, and we come back and say, this is what it costs, HVAC, controls, everything. All this was just estimate, what.
Then President Franco, Ms. Pearson, made it adamant point to draft these experts' contracts to be able to utilize them also in any other renovations that we do have here. So we're covered in that sense to utilize it if we do. Any other questions? Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you. We'll continue on to presentation of the district-wide student performance of the middle of the year NWEA MAP growth assessment results.
Good evening, board members, Ms. Pearson. Our curriculum and instruction department is going to present to you our winter results from MAP data. But there's two just concepts real quick that you need to be aware about because you will see it in the presentation, and this is growth and achievement. So growth is just a measure of a student's progress over time, and achievement is the student's level of proficiency or performance. Now, why this distinction is important in terms of NWEA. So when we look at the data, the growth data, it allows us to determine the extent that students are making progress toward proficiency, while the achievement data is informing us the extent that our students are meeting proficiency, and we use this information in order to make predictions and comparisons, as you're going to see on the slideshow tonight. And there's three takeaways that you'll get at least from the presentation One is the predictive power of NWEA toward student performance levels. Second is our ability to track students' progress toward these performance levels. And three, to provide for transparent communication with teachers, our administrators, our parents, and you board members. So with that in mind, I'm going to hand it to Dr. Rubenau.
Thank you, Mr. Delamontes. Good evening, board members. So we do have great data to share today. Please, if at any point you have any questions, let me know. I do want to give special recognition and shout outs to our administrators on campus for ensuring that all of our students get tested and giving us that high participation number. So our window did close on Friday, on the 14th. The data has been disaggregated and brought to you at today's presentation. So as Mr. Delamontes mentioned, there are a couple things to consider when looking at this data. So growth defined as meets projected will maintain achievement. So if students meet the expected growth, their achievement will maintain and remain the same. When we look at exponential growth, so above that 50th percentile, we'll see that achievement increases, and we'll give you some good examples of that in our data. So as I move forward in this presentation, what is important to define is a RIT score. That is the metric in which what students get when they complete the MAP assessment, and just for backtracking, MAP does stand for Measures of Academic Progress. A RIT score is an abbreviation for Rosh unit. Think of it as a ruler with inches, incremental inches. The beginning RIT score is at 100 and it goes all the way up to 350. So what's incredible about this number is that it is specific to the student. So if a student is performing above grade level, they will have a higher RIT compared to a student performing below would have a lower RIT. But what's beautiful about the number, and that it doesn't include a grade equivalency, is that when students receive this RIT score, in the past, our previous screener would give a grade level equivalency. So students, a third grade student, for example, would get a 1.2, and they would know that that means first grade. The RIT score does not do that. It removes that from the table, and it allows for a further discussion to be had with the teacher. When we look at how achievement and growth are related, this is an example of a fourth grade student. This fourth grade student, Sophia is the example, had a beginning RIT score of 194. The projected increase from beginning of year to middle of year assessment was 11 RIT points. If Sophia hits those 11 RIT points, that projection, her data would be in the 50th percentile for growth and 35th for achievement. However, if Sophia exceeds that projection and instead gets 14 RIT points of growth, the achievement percentile would shift upward. So let's look at our numbers at the district level. So when we are looking at the overall district average in math, we came in at growth at the 47th percentile. When you look at that and what I just explained, you'll see that our achievement from fall to winter remained at the 34th percentile. Looking at our reading, very similar data here. 48th percentile for growth and achievement initially at the 39th percentile and moving to the 41st. We want to highlight some areas of strength for RLA specifically. So 11th grade in the 57th percentile for growth, 3rd grade in the 55th, and kinder in the 54th. So growth above the 50th is going to impact that achievement positively. When we look at RLA areas of opportunity, we have grade 2 in the 39th percentile for growth, 1st grade in the 40th, and 5th grade in the 40th as well. Looking at math areas of strength, we have 8th grade algebra 1 in the 69th percentile for growth, 3rd grade in the 57th, and 4th grade in the 57th as well. And we can see those impacts when we're talking about high growth and how that increases our achievement here. When we look at areas of opportunity, we have grade 8 math in the 35th percentile for growth, grade 5 in the 36th, and grade 2 in the 42nd. So additionally, when we're discussing the average average growth, there are certain normative numbers that are based on national data. And if you look at this graphic, you'll see that the orange rhombus that's on top of the bar is the expected growth by grade level, and that varies by every grade, as you can see how the diamonds shift downward. And then you can see our data in the purple. So what this allows us to see from a district level view is which grade levels exceeded that expectation. So here we can really highlight 3rd, 4th grade, and 7th grade in math that are obviously exceeding that expectation. When we look at that and quantify it as percentage of students who are meeting those targets, we also have them from kinder to 9th grade Algebra 1. And what these percentages are is what percentage of students met their projected growth target at every grade level. So what we can really celebrate here are our higher numbers, and we can look at the differences in our averages from kinder all the way to 9th grade Algebra 1. So we have 4th grade math, and 61% of students met their projected growth. We have 8th grade Algebra 1, where 71% of students met. So those are 2 areas that we get to highlight with this data. Additionally, what the MAP assessment does at every time that the students take this, so at beginning of year, which is in September, when they first took the exam, and then middle of year was most recently January, February, it gives us projected proficiencies that compares them to STAR data. So when we look at a summary of our math data from grades 2 through 8, this is a pie chart that indicates our projection for STAR 2025. And so what these averages look like is 55% approaches, 24% meets, and 4% masters overall. So that is for math. When we look at Algebra 1, which is 8th and 9th grade, and take that assessment, approaches at about 80%, meets at about 40%, and masters at 23%. And these are projections. So I have the same data, but for RLA and what that looks like in a district. So as a reminder, the goal is for the purple to surpass the rhombus. And if we look at the areas that did that, we have kinder to celebrate 3rd grade once again, at really surpassing that expectation, and 4th grade and 11th grade for RLA. And then when we quantify those numbers by percentage, by content for RLA and by grade level, we have this comparison and it's really beautiful to see from kinder all the way to the 11th grade. And so we can see the percentages of our students that are meeting that target. So we really get to highlight, we have several hitting that 58%, so we have kinder, 3rd grade, 4th, and then 11th. And of course in between, the variation is not something that's exponentially different. When we look at our projected proficiencies for RLA, this is a combined figure. We can see grades 2 through 8 for RLA, our projected data for STAR 2025 approaches at the 72%, meets at 41%, and masters at 11%, so slightly higher than the math projections. When we look at EOC, we can see, and this is going to be for our end of course English 1 exam, approaches 78%, meets at 56%, and masters around 10%. And lastly, we do have a science MAP assessment. So 8th grade tested middle of year because we have 5th and 8th that do take the STAR. However, they did not take beginning of year. So for today's presentation, the beginning of year or the fall to winter growth will be applicable to our 5th grade science. And what we can say about 5th grade science is that they surpassed the expectation that's typical for the grade level and content area, and 61% of students showed growth in 5th grade science. And lastly, our projected proficiency, and this is relevant to both 5th and 8th grade science tests for STAR, is at 58% approaches, 20% meets, and 5% masters. That is the end of my slideshow. Are there any questions or slides that you would like me to go back and reference? Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go on to Item 7, superintendent briefing.
Okay, thank you, and I'll make it quick. We actually got to recognize many of these. Our Crest Awards, congratulations to our high school and our junior high, to Counselor Melissa Garza and Counselor Dr. Marcela Guzman and Mrs. Nidia Rodriguez, and our principals at the high school, Mr. Joey Tambu, and our principal, Ms. Guevara, over at the junior high. And then we also recognized our UIL debate, and so we were happy to have Jose Garza and Luis Campa, and they're going to recognize us at state. And then our National Counselor Appreciation Week, we just love our counselors, and we were happy to recognize them this evening also in person. And then our finance department, if I can please have them come up. This month we recognize our finance department. Thank you, Mr. Dorio, for including them in your update as well. For their work for successful audit, the submission of the PEMS using the new Ed5 system. We appreciate the dedication and commitment they display in representing our district through excellence. Ms. Ana Diaz, CFO, Ms. Vanessa Villanueva, Payroll Benefits Specialist, Ms. Emmy Vargas, Accounts Payable Clerk, Ms. Mary Lou Garza, Purchasing Clerk, Ms. Brianna Decker Diaz, Accounting Assistant, and Ms. Citadel Velasquez, Accountant. Ms. SB Garcia, our PEMS Coordinator, thank you for your endless work, your dedication to everything that you do. And Ms. Diaz, would you like to share a few words?
Yes, I do. If they can please come up, I would really appreciate them staying to be here at this moment. And I do want to add that I feel like the staff are, to a certain point, fairly new. Emmy and Mary Lou have been here since about August, September. So if you think about that and all the work they do, they really just came in, picked up everything where it was left off, and they just took it running. And I cannot tell you enough about what quality work that they do, and I'm really, really proud of them. At the same time, I want to also say that Brianna has been a leader in trying to make sure that they get the training that they need. And Brianna, too, was only in her role for a year. And so now she's in a new role, assisting Citadel and payroll with those huge pieces. And if you look at the audit report and you look at every single page, you see the work. Those, to me, are the results of their work. I also want to add, I know that Vanessa's not here, but Vanessa is, I call her a payroll manager. So if you look at our budget, and you know that 80% of our budget, 80-85% of our budget is in payroll, you can already know that the volume of the work that goes through that system. And then Ms. S.P. Garcia as well, I want to be able to say that she's our PEMS coordinator, and the quality work that she does to try to help all our campuses properly code is really, really important, and she just carries that on her shoulder, and she's just wonderful as well, thanks to her experience. Now, Citadel, again, I cannot just say, I'm sorry, just get all teary, but I just cannot thank her enough with the team for the work that she has done to help us get this audit where it needed to be. And it's just a testament to see that the fact that we don't have any findings, I mean, that really says it all. I'm really very proud of you. I'm honored to work with them. I think that I have the best team in the district. When you love what you do, it doesn't feel like work, and I really love it, and it shows with what they do. And I just want to say thank you, because I depend on you, and you do not fail me. They are always there, and they work very hard, and I think it's a testament when you see the results. So thank you very much.
yes, we just got news that our varsity men's basketball did win their by-district game, so we're proud of them. And we have our junior ROTC recognition, so congratulations, JRT students, Falconberry, Sanchez, Ricardo, Chavez, Joeski, Garcia, Guerrero, and Bacalba. Placed first in the female team and second in the male team at the Somerset High School Physical Fitness Competition on January 31st. And then our 8th grade girls district champs. Congratulations to the 8th grade girls basketball team for winning co-district champs. Kindich Cervantes, Isabella Alfaro, Kaylee Garcia, Alana Almendarez, Arlene Valenzuela, Jamil DePacchio, Riley Gonzalez, Justina Cruz, Arizela Hinojosa, Adelia Tejarina, and Deandra Reese, and Coach Gabriela Gonzalez. I'm sorry if I messed any names up, excuse me for that. And then our junior high walk cadets, congratulations on the competition at London Dance Competition, military, 3rd place, hip hop 3rd place, and palm 4th place. And then just a legislative update very quickly, the bills related to public education, possible funding increase by $4.85 million. And one property relief for $3.5 billion and school safety at $200 million. And those were heard by the Senate on February 10th by Commissioner Marath. We also have a homestead exemption that passed the Senate on Thursday that's moving on to the House Appropriation Committee. And the House Appropriation Committee is set to discuss public education funding on Wednesday, February 19th. Also, bills that are in consideration are the voucher at $1 billion that did pass the Senate. Senate Bill SB2, and it is now moving to the House. It will provide a $10,000 per eligible student that enrolls in private school. Homeschool students would receive an additional $2,000. Students were being required to take a nationally normed reference test, though, so that is what is moving on to the House at this time. And that's the end. We're very proud of our Wildcats. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to reports and informational items, starting with the financial briefing.
Yes, and I will be brief. Thank you very much. This is our January 2025 report in our executive summary. At this point, we are about 46% of our time has passed. The general fund collections are about 80% collected, and the expenses without net of the Chapter 41 budget is 36%, so we're where we need to be as well. Food services collected about 44% of their revenue, expenses are about 39%, and interest and sinking is at 84% of their collections. So I think our collections are all good. On this summary page, you'll see at the bottom part, like Mr. Doria alluded to as far as our fund balance, our general fund balance is $24.045 million. Our current year revenue to date collected is $49.3 million. Our expenses are $11.8, so we have a current net revenue of $37.5 million. For food service, we've collected $862,000. Our expenses are roughly at $950, so falling the revenue over expenses is under about $87,000. And then our debt service, as you know, we have not made our debt service payment at this point. On the next few pages, without going into the detail, you have the summary numbers, by function code and so forth. Now, one of the plans that I do have for the March meeting is to do a realignment of where we are, how our collections are, kind of like projecting, instead of doing an end-of-year amendment, just really checking to see where we are at this midpoint. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the general fund, that's that next page. Food service is the next page, which I've covered those numbers as well. And then on the next page, you have the debt service, which is our interest and sinking. On the following page, we have our interest earned. So if you look at that for the year so far, and we're only in January, we've collected across the various funds, general, interest sinking, and construction of $2.7 million. So that's pretty good at this point. On the next page, I'm simply providing an overview of our board budget amendments at this point, and then one to be considered considered late today on the agenda. Next page. Here's our special maintenance projects. Again, I have no changes to report other than the board did approve 2 items at the January 2025 board meeting. So this is a recap of the emergency or special maintenance projects. Now the board had approved about 350,000. We're at 89,000, so it's good. Hopefully we don't need it all at this point. And then on the next page, we have our construction fund update, where I'm providing both the 24-25 update and the 23-24 update, just so you can have a recap on the finances for the construction at this point. If you don't have any questions, I have nothing additional to add there. But I will say that on the next page, I have a detailed listing of 5 vendors. So we have the amounts paid, for example, towards TWS, and I always say it wrong. Arrow, yeah, there you go. So currently, expenses of $1.4 million across our construction fund projects at this point. Thank you.
Yes,
okay. So then the next section we have are the accounts payable listing. I don't have anything to add unless board members have anything they'd like to ask about. Okay, and then on the next section is the vendors that exceed 50,000 at this point. This is year to date from 9/1/2024 to January 31st of 2025. And so you have your list of vendors as well. Okay, if you have any questions, the next page is the tax collection report. So on the top part, we have maintenance and operations. Like I mentioned earlier, our tax collections are exceeding where we should be at this point, which is really good news. We have year-to-date $48.2 million collected for maintenance and operations, and our interest and sinking at 3.5. Okay, and that's all I have for the financial update.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 9, approval of consent agenda items. First, letter A, consideration of minutes of the regular board meeting of January 21st, 2025.
Madam President, I make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion made by Aldoria to approve the consideration of minutes, seconded by Jeff Ortiz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. Go to item 10, discussion and possible action items. Letter A, consider approval of vendor expected to exceed 50,000 for the 24-2025 school year.
Yes, so here on this listing, I'm showing the board the vendors and how they have been procured for the year. And so, as you know, I just recently showed you a report on the vendors that have currently exceeded 50,000. And these are the board members, these are the vendors that could potentially exceed 50,000. And so basically I'm giving an overview of what they are, and I'm also providing you the procurement and what the procurement has been for them. So you can see, for example, if it's a buy board or choice partners, Omnia partners, TIR, which is, they're all procured already documents. And then the other items are board approved contracts like Bay Bridge or some of our health contracts or utility vendors. And so I am requesting approval from the board on this item.
President, I make a motion to approve vendors expected to exceed 50,000 for the year 24-25.
Motion made by Aldoria,
Second.
seconded by Jeff Ortiz to consider approval of the vendors expected to exceed 50,000 for the school year 24-2025. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. B, consider approval of budget amendment to Wildcat Academy, DAEP, to accept the donation by Maldonado Law Group, ELLC.
Yes, ma'am. So we have a donation that was brought forth by Ms. Morones for DAEP, and so I don't have any additional information to provide other than we are looking to fund that toward general supplies for the Wildcat Academy for instructional purposes for DAEP. It's $500.
I'll make a motion to approve the budget amendment to the Wildcat Academy DAP to accept the donation by Maldonado Law Group, BLLC.
Motion made by Jeff Ortiz, seconded by Wilbur Cruz to consider approval of budget amendment to Wildcat Academy to accept the donation by Maldonado Law Group. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries. C, consider approval of payment of $89,000 to Dell for high school technology refresh teacher laptops.
Okay, so on this item, I'll turn it over to Jerry. And the request is, because it exceeds 50,000, of course.
Hello, good evening, board members, and also good evening, everyone. So we have a refresh cycle that's basically like that's for the high school refresh for the teachers, and that includes the 60 teachers, and then it's already in line item. And then the background history of the high school refresh was that the last laptop was bought at 2021, so like every year it goes like wear and tear, and we're already experiencing like the laptop, some of the laptop teachers like performance issues, like it's getting slow, and sometimes like we have these new programs, and when trying to access it, it gives it's giving them a hard time trouble. So with this initiative, the refresh initiative, it will give us like more productivity to the teachers, and also it will also empower the teachers to like more productive with the students as well.
How many laptops?
60.
60?
Yes, sir.
So there's 60 teachers that need.
Well, technically, the laptop that we have is 55, but I have like buffer because on the last year we came to issue that hey, we have a new GROTC, or we have a new teacher, or they what's it called? They open up a new position, and I was like, oh, we don't have any laptops, so I have to scrape up like, hey, what we have in here, like the old laptop, so I have to be ready. The way I can just give like, ma'am, this is not a whole laptop, so like, well, use this one, we'll get you a new one. So I rather have the buffer, the way what's it called? There's no like holding up when they're like going to the classes, because we can give them like a laptop.
So I'm assuming you collect.
Yes, the old ones. Yes.
55.
So technically, the number of laptops in here was we have like 48 teachers, but with the laptops, it also includes the principals, assistant principals, and the counselors. So with that said, it came up with 48 and then 49, and then so that's roughly like 59 right there. And then what's it called? The one laptop is what like we have the like the live streaming. So I also put there because mainly we use this one is like the high school for the football. So that's included the 160.
So you have an inventory.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What do you do with the used?
So with that one, the teacher have the initiative to buy the old ones, but we run into issue that last couple of years, like, the teacher was like, hey, can we buy like the laptop right away? So the previous director was like, yeah, you can buy it, but we run into issue that on the next school year, that we have the subs. It was the one of my texts brought it up, like, hey Jerry, we have the subs, we have these paras, but they couldn't do like their timesheet, or they bring to the classroom, so they have to bring their own. I was like, oh, okay, so next time, so we're gonna address that issue. So they can still buy their laptop, but it's not guaranteed that they can buy it right away. They have to, because like the policy, they have to wait for sale. So when it's in sale, they can buy their laptops. And we always keep that inventory, like for the laptops, so we delete that inventory, and then also we keep track of what goes in and what goes out.
Keep accountability.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, is this included in your budget for this year?
Yes, sir.
Okay, because if not, we have to make an amendment.
No, it's already on my budget.
All right.
So it's just like an internal report.
Just one more question.
Yes, sir.
So you're going to, are you going against bronze, XPS, or not?
I'm sorry, what was it? I'm sorry.
So, like you're going with Dell, right, for your laptops?
Yes.
But are you going to get Latitudes, XPSs, or X-Bronze?
It's the ones that I have is the Latitudes right here. So if you're, the exact model is Latitude 5550. So yes. So we have also issues that we bought a couple years back. It was the refresh from elementary, so I keep a note of that. I already brought it up to the vendors too. Like the moment we issued the laptop, the issue was like, hey, can we get our laptop back, because like the power, it doesn't hold so much like energy. So with this one right here, I did my research that this is the best laptop we can get for the teachers.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any questions?
Motion made by Wilbur Cruz, seconded by Al Doria to approve the payment of $89,000 to Dell for the high school technology refresh. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None?
I just had a question though, I know we already approved it. Jerry, do we have you said the last time we purchased that laptop was 2021?
Yes, I believe, yeah. That was like the data that I got from our spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically like the life cycle of the laptop is usually like 3 to 5.
Correct.
So if it like 3, 4, 5 years, you're just gonna start increasing performance. Usually performance is huge. It still turns on, it still boots up. But if you notice, when your laptop hits that age, I was like, why it's taking too long to boot up? So with that, it's the hard drive.
I get it. We have the tools that work to all the big laptops.
Yes.
But it'll be good to maybe get in a cycle or a schedule, right?
Yes, I have also like a long range technology
To
plan for
get
that.
all the employees that use laptops.
Yes.
You know, every 3 years or whatever.
Yes.
It might be,
Yes.
you know, do.
Yeah. So
Mr. Ortiz, I did ask Mr. Jerry to put a plan together to present to the board, and so he is working on that, and we do plan in the future to present exactly what you're saying, sir.
yes.
You got it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item D, consider approval of $80,000 to ESC 20 for Strong Foundations Planning Grant.
Good evening again. What you have for you is a recommendation that the Board of Trustees approve the contract payment to Educational Service Center 20 for services, technical services rendered in support of our current LASSO Reading Language Arts Planning Grant Initiative.
Question. So this last one plan was already approved, right?
Yes, sir, it has been approved. And one thing, I guess I'll make a clarification. When we received this grant, one of the requirements is that 50% of the awarded funds goes to a approved provider, which includes Educational Service Center 20.
So it's going to be 40,000, 50%. 40,000 will be paid to the S20.
Yeah, through the grant, yes, sir.
So far, have they done any services for the last one?
What's that, sir? I'm sorry.
so far, have they done any service?
Oh, yes, they have, sir. Yes, they've actually come in and done some walkthroughs, and so they presented some data to our administrators and our teachers. We also they also provided some coaching, and then they assisted our leadership team in constructing an instructional framework that we will implement next year. Any other questions?
So if there are no more questions, I'll make a motion to approve, is it 8,000 or 1,000?
80,000.
8,000 to, display for some foundation plan.
We have a motion by Aldoria to approve the 80,000 to ES20 for the Strong Foundations Planning Grant. Do I have a second?
I second.
Seconded by Luis Zarate. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item E, consider approval of amendments and additions to the 2024-2025 compensation plan, the summer school leave.
Good evening, Ms. President Franco, school board members. I present to you for your consideration the addition of a summer school lead teacher to serve as an administrator in training, assisting in the management and oversight of summer school operations for the 2025 summer school program. The position is designed for educators pursuing a master's degree in educational leadership or administration and provides hands-on experience in instructional leadership, compliance, and program evaluation in alignment with ESSA Title I Part A supplemental funding. Are there any questions in reference to this position? We propose to pay at a rate of $60 per hour. Yes. Yes, the qualifications would be, yes, a valid teacher's certification, and we want to have, it is an administrator and training type of program that we wanted to implement, and so we're looking for someone who's working on a master's degree or has earned their master's degree in educational leadership or in education administration or education related field. Yes, they're federal funds, Title I Part A federal funds. So it would not place a burden on our general fund.
Is it just one teacher or how many?
We're looking to hire 2 teachers because we'll have 2 campuses for summer school. One for each campus. So essentially an elementary level lead and a secondary level lead. We look to have this person start working early on before summer school starts to assist principals and directors in the hiring of the summer school teachers, and of course any curriculum implementation, curriculum approval, looking at all of that, anything related to summer school and instruction.
When does summer school start and when does it end?
Yes, summer school starts in June. Great question. I don't have my calendar.
June 2nd. We're still in the planning process. We've had 2 meetings, but we're kind of waiting to see if the board would approve this position. But tentatively June 2nd through the 19th, it's 12 days.
It'll be that week after the school year is concluded. The last day for teachers is May 28th. I believe that is a Wednesday, so we're looking at using 2 days that week to do professional development and teacher planning prior to summer school starting the following week with students. 10 days. 12 days.
It's 3 weeks. 3 weeks.
Thank you, because, yes.
There are 4 days, yeah, Monday through Thursday for 3 weeks. And again, we're still in the planning process of Nothing has been solidified with all that. We've just begun the planning process for summer school.
And of course, at the high school, you have summer testing for end of course, STAR end of course exams. So when you sandwich that between the end of the school year, regular school year, and testing, you only have so much of a window for summer school. Testing for high school is the third week in June. We don't test on Monday, it's that Tuesday.
Yeah, 24th to the, sorry.
We still have
23rd to the 27th.
Thank you.
the principals and IOs working at that time.
We have, our principals will be working throughout the summer, but they are also going to be doing a lot of training and preparation for the 25-26 school year. This position proves very integral and very important in the fact that they support summer school so that it frees up the administrator to do other administrative duties in preparation for the school year. Now, the assistant principals will finish their contract. It's a little different for secondary and high school. The assistant principals will divide their time. They'll finish before principals will, so that the principal can come back for testing. Usually your campus testing coordinator, who is your assistant principal, will come back for testing. So you stagger their time so that you have coverage. It's actually, thank you. Right here, you'll see the testing window is in June. We don't test on the 16th, so the 17th through the 26th. While the state does give you this day, we typically wrap up testing here so that we can, because we do a compressed schedule in the summer with our week ending on Thursday. Yes, yes, we do. We do use, yes, for high school only. Yes, sir, that's correct. And of course, that's just assessment at that point. It's not really, it's not instruction. And we do get, there is a lot, even though it does seem like it's not a lot of days, there is a lot that gets done. Person with as little as 3 years. Minimum 3 years of teaching experience in an academic setting, that's correct, yes, sir. That is what's proposed. Ms. Ortiz, you have a question?
I was going to say, maybe we need to discuss this more, get more information, just like for, with the board.
You said it's going to be some of
Yes, sir.
Any more questions?
Have we done this before?
Yes, the last time that we had, we didn't call it a summer school lead teacher previously, and I did some research. 2018-19, before COVID, we had summer school coordinators, very much the same as this, where they were administrators in training, so to speak, working on a master's degree in educational leadership or have already earned their degree in leadership, a master's degree.
And if I might just add really quickly that it is to assist with training for our principals. They're required to go a lot of training, and last summer, it was my first summer here, it was really hard to call them to do the training because they had to be at summer school, and so much happens in June because as you all know, we shut down the district for 2 weeks in July. And also this is a morale booster for our teachers. We want our teachers to know that we invest in them and we invest in their leadership and in their growth. And we do have several teachers who are pursuing their masters or have their masters. So this is an opportunity for them to have an insight into being a summer school lead teacher. And so really that's also the thinking behind this as well.
And also, I think in talking to Ms. Pearson, you had said, like, because normally a principal is the one who would have this position, but because they're gonna be tied up in a lot of meetings and different planning, this person would be able to do the summer city.
Right, it really gives, absolutely, yes, ma'am. It gives the principals the opportunity to, really hone their craft as far as being instructional leaders for their campuses.
Any more questions?
And once again, the position's going to be funded entirely through federal funds. So, ensuring that there's no additional strain on the district's general funds. And it aligns with the purpose.
Madam President, I make a motion to.
We have a motion by Noah Zalatan to approve. Seconded by Oscar Morales to approve the amendments and additions to the 2024-2025 compensation plan for the summer school lead positions. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll go to executive session. Discussion authorized by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.001, A 551.074, personnel matters, discussion of resignations, retirements, leaves of absence, reassignments, new employment, new personnel position, duties, responsibilities of employees. And the time is 8:37. We're in executive session. 9:58. We're back from executive session. We don't have any action on any items. So we're on the last item. Adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Wilbur Cruz, seconded by Jeff Ortiz to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Time is 9:58.